busy schedule to be here for the 20th board meeting. Today marks another important day as we meet to review progress for the second quarter of 2019 and discuss the outlook for the rest of the year quarter of 2019. I will start with section 1, which is review of progress achieved in the second quarter of 2019. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, as the board may recall, our main objectives for 2019 were anchored on 3 pillars. 1, we set out to build upon our efforts to implement the CLSG project and deliver the transmission line infrastructure in 2020. 2, we planned to continue collaborating with WAC, other regional bodies and national institutions. And number 3, strengthen the institution to ensure it is more responsive to the current and emerging needs of key stakeholders. At the 19th board meeting in March 2019, I presented our proposals to accelerate implementation of the project and ensure that electricity is delivered to Monrovia by December 2019 and to Freetown and Zirikwe by March 2020. Today, I'm happy to report that we are on track. On all the key targets for 2019, and we continue to make progress in the implementation of the CLSG project on several fronts. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, I'm pleased to inform you that we've made tremendous progress in the construction of the transmission line and substations. Significant progress has been made in the manufacturing of the various equipment as well as in the construction works, including the stringing of the very first conductor in Sierra Leone, which was celebrated and proudly reported. Subsequently, stringing activity has also commenced in Liberia and expected to start in Côte d'Ivoire by July 2019. In particular, the contract for the construction of the 5th substation at Botota was signed with C1 on May 27, 2019. Engineering studies for all the 6 transmission line contracts and 2 substation contracts implemented by C1 in Liberia and Sierra Leone are far advanced. Also, manufacturing and related factory acceptance tests, shipping and delivery of materials and equipment, including towers, conductors, IFE materials, substations, steel structures, primary equipment at the construction sites in the 4 countries have progressed significantly. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, as I report at the last board meeting, management has instituted a robust plan to accelerate implementation of some EPC contracts. This plan involves active engagement with all EPC contractors to avoid further delays and partially commission the line in December 2019. We are making sure all construction activities that will have been performed sequentially as per the original schedule are now performed in parallel. Under the acceleration plan, contractors working on the section from Man in Côte d'Ivoire to Monrovia in Liberia have increased the mobilization of their teams and equipment on sites. With the support of the World Bank, additional cost of euros 3.1 million to commission Man substation by December 2019 was agreed with KLC and signed. The African Development Bank also approved additional cost of euro 2.5 million to commission the sections of the transmission line from Man to Yekefa for Buli contract. In addition, management held bilateral meetings with the EPC contractors and discussed the speedy implementation of the project. Subsequently, a revised project implementation calendar was also discussed and agreed with all contractors. The technical working group chaired by the General Manager is focused on bilateral engagements with individual EPC contractors to monitor weekly progress, anticipate key challenges that may derail progress away from planned results. As a result, construction activity has started at the Linsan substation site in Guinea, which has further boosted the CLSG project implementation. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, as part of the implementation of the RAP component of the project, TRANSCO CLSG has been focusing on transferring lands to the EPC contractor to enable them advance on the works. Following completion of parts, a total of 1,197 kilometers out of 1,300 kilometers of land corridor have been transferred to contractors, and 11 out of 12 substation sites have been transferred to EPC contractors. ESM activities continue to focus on monitoring of site works regarding health, safety, and environmental management. In this regard, I'm pleased to inform you that the monitoring activities carried out by donors and EPAs have shown that the CLSG project is compliant with the donor standard and national regulation for HSE management, that is health and safety and environmental management. Further, we acknowledge that creating jobs in the CLSG country is part of our goal to create an enabling environment that will generate economic activities to alleviate poverty for our people. I'm pleased to report that about 2,424 local people have been recruited across the 4 CLSG countries. Section 3, collaborating with WAP, other regional and national institutions. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, mindful that the CLSG project is a regional effort, management continue to collaborate with WAP, ERERA, OMVG, and national institutions to ensure that the CLSG transmission lines remains a major component of the WAP regional network. We also continue to work closely with national institutions through bilateral engagements to optimize the efficiencies of the CLSG transmission network. In this regard, the construction of additional bays at Yekepa substation in Liberia and Bumbuna substation in Sierra Leone are being actively considered. Further, the task force has followed up on the progress made with the identification of national projects that will be connected to the CLSG network. A roadmap was developed and agreed upon with key stakeholders for the implementation of these projects in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. Section 4, progress on institution, strengthening and improving business process. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, as we move closer to the commissioning of transmission line infrastructure, we recognize that building a strong institution that will respond to the many challenges we face in the implementation of this complex project remains a top priority. Recognizing that the process to transition from the construction phase to operation phase may pose real hurdles, management has recruited a change management advisor to support the company in preparing a roadmap to plan and implement the key changes in staffing, logistics, and business process that will make the process seamless. In order to prepare TRANSCO CLSG for commercial operations, management is reviewing and updating key institutional documents by September, October of this year. The update number 1, the updated financial and administrative policy and procedure manual, taking into account feedback or comments received from the internal auditor and external auditor on the version that the board approved in 2016. Number 2, the draft information technology policies and procedure manual prepared by management. Number 3, the draft procurement manual that management is adapting from WAP procurement manual and tender code. And finally, the updated business plan being prepared by management. These updated and new institutional documents will be presented to the board for consideration and approval in November of 2019. Number 5, Section 5, financial management. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, financial management continues to ensure compliance with statutory requirements, approve financial policies and procedures, as well as donor financial management guidelines. In this regard, I'm happy to inform you that audited annual financial statement for 2018, interim financial report for first quarter of 2019, comprising the interim management report and interim financial statement were presented to the Finance and Administrative Committee meeting on June 18. This will ensure that the audit report for 2018 is submitted to donors before the deadline of June 30, 2019. The total expenditure for the first quarter is $30.7 million compared to a budget of US $55.5 million with a budget execution rate of 55.3%. Overall disbursements of funds to the project increased from $116.1 million at March 31, 2018 to $220.5 million at March 31, 2019. This represents a substantial increase in the disbursement rate from 18% at March 31, 2018 to 14.1% at March 31, 2019. Côte d'Ivoire entities have fully paid its contribution of $500,000 for 2019 on the aspect of the capital contribution, while EDSA and EDGI yet to make any payments. Management has been assured that EDSA is processing payment of US $500,000 that will be effective before the end of June 2019, while at the same time EDG also promised to pay the full amount of $500,000 by the end of July 2019. However, the negative equity of the company stands at $18.8 million at December 31, 2018, due to revenues not being generated during the construction period. This situation creates a serious going concern for the financial viability of the company and reinforces the need to update the business plan to incorporate the actual outcomes of project execution to date, to further identify and incorporate opportunities to increase revenue generation and thereby better position TRANSCO CLSG to eliminate the negative equity position as soon as the transmission line begins commercial operation. Section 6, Key Challenges. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Directors, our main challenge is to ensure that the transmission line is delivered as per the revised schedule with the desired quality and to remain within available budget. With the support of the owner's engineer, we will continue to closely supervise and monitor construction activities. The technical working group will continue to engage all contractors, particularly those on the acceleration plan, to ensure that the desired targets for the year 2019 are achieved. With the support of our external donors and governments of the CLSG countries, the financing gap has been closed, with a balance for contingencies, which has enabled management to identify new activities that were not planned in the initial budget. At the donors coordination meeting that we will hold next month, that will be held next month in Freetown, we will continue to engage donors on the recruitment and financing of the operation and maintenance contractor, agree on the scope of several additional works that are geared to improve upon the effectiveness and efficiency of the CLSG project across the 4 countries, and also firm up discussions on the extension of the contract for owner's engineer and the functioning of TRANSCO CLSG. To cover these additional costs, management will prepare and submit a supplemental budget for consideration by the board. Section 7, Future Outlook for 2019. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, for the rest of the 2019, we will focus on monitoring the acceleration plan, finalization of compensation of personnel affected by the project, and the launching of the recruitment process for the operation and maintenance operator. Moreover, setting up the commercial and technical departments, development of the break hold and connection agreements, and implementing change management tool, transition from the construction phase to the operations phase are also critical activities that are planned in the next 6 months, leading to the injection of electricity into the CLSG transmission line. Development of the second circuit will be an integral part of discussions at the next donors coordination meeting in Freetown from July the 2nd to the 3rd, 2019. Management also plans to organize a workshop in September, October to enable TRANSCO CLSG, Côte d'Ivoire entities, EDG, EDSA, and LEC work collectively to finalize the PPAs and TSA originally signed from November 2016 to January 2017. This will ensure that firm energy is agreed among buyer and sellers, and the final transmission tariffs agreed for the TSA. Section 8, Documents for Approval. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, in accordance with the statutory requirements and donor regulations, I invite the Board to consider and approve the 2018 Annual Financial Report and audited financial statement for both the company and the CLSG project. Section 9, documents for information. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Directors, I further wish to inform you that the board committees have adopted the following documents that were presented by management for the information of the board. Number 1, CLSG project progress report for March 2019, progress report and acceleration plan, operations and maintenance final bidding document, TRANSCO activities report, first quarter financial report for 2019, internal audit report for the second quarter. Finally, I would like to thank the authorities of the government of Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea for their unflinching support in achieving these milestones. Once again, we are set to make history together, as this flagship project will demonstrate great results that will be resounding and serve as a springboard for future cooperation with ECOWAS and beyond. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the members of the board.